Hey guys, this is HDDesign here, and I'm bringing you a quick tutorial on how to make basic SIGs, just a quick rundown of how to make them. And in the description you'll find a really long tutorial that I found on DeviantArt a long time ago, and basically this is just a tutorial on all the basics of SIG making. It goes through everything that you'll need to know if you want to start making form SIGs. And as you can see, it goes through a lot of different stuff, and at the end you have a tutorial, and it brings you through all the steps on how to make this signature here. So I'm just going to jump straight into it. Someone requested that I make a tutorial on how to make this signature here, and this is a pretty old signature actually. I made probably 2 months ago or so. But I'm just going to go through all the layers and tell you what I've done with each of them, and I'll have the download link for just this PSD in the description. So obviously started off with the background blank white, and then I went ahead and added in a stock. Now I smudged the part of this stock. It's actually a Batman stock. I'll just show you really quick. Yeah, just resize it, and as you can see there is Batman. But what I did was just smudge a small section of the stock, and that is what I came up with. And after that I started adding in my colours, and it was a kind of purple-ish colour to white, and I set that to overlay, and opacity is set to 40, and as you can see it changes it from a dark green to a kind of bluish purple colour. It looks pretty cool. Then I added in the photo filter, which didn't actually do a whole lot. I didn't even notice that until now, but just move on anyway. Then I started adding in the C4Ds, and these just add in general effect here, SIG. And I'll show you what this one looks like. Resize. Hang on guys, let's turn off the other layer so you can see it better. So as you can see, it's just a normal Cinema 4D image that you get on DeviantArt. Most people on YouTube graphics packs don't actually really include these. I like to include them because I think they can work really well in loads of different things, not just signatures. But just moving on really quick here. Just turn on these layers and add on these. This layer glow was just actually a brush, which comes up here now. I think I just added in 2 spots of the normal brush with the hard edged, and I used the smudge tool. And if you don't know where the smudge tool is, guys, it's right under the gradient or paint bucket tool. There should be, normally if you haven't used it, a blur, little drop blur tool, and what you do is right click and you click smudge tool, and there's loads of different settings. These are the settings I use, which is I believe stock actually, and all I did was just smudge it. And as you can see, I'm just going over it there, you can see that it actually does change it a little bit. And after that I added in, I'm not sure what this style is actually called, but I think it's called Color Splash. I'm not 100% sure, but what this is, you just add in the pen, using the pen tool, you add in a little pad going along like that, and then you right click it and click stroke path, brush, and don't simulate pressure. And as you can see, that just makes a little line along where your path was, and you just add in different colours, and you do it a couple of times. Just delete that part really quick. And after that I decided that I didn't actually, after I had actually finished the signature itself, I decided that I didn't want it to be all colourful green, yellow, blue and red, so I just changed it to black and white gradient overlay, and I set that to saturation. So after that I started adding the colours to my signature, which was the heating filter, not the heating filter, sorry, heating gradient that people use, and I set that on the blending options, to overlay, and opacity was set to 40. After that I went to channel mixer and I added in these settings here. You can go ahead and pause the video and check them and add them in yourself if you're trying to copy this tutorial. It's not really much of a tutorial, but anyway, I left this at normal and 100% opacity, and as you can see it changes it from a kind of orangey tint kind of colour to a nice kind of green blue colour. So after that I went ahead and added in my render, which is this render here, and I'm going to go ahead and show you that in my Photoshop files if I can find it. I've just downloaded thousands of different renders. Yeah, there it is. As you can see, I'll have a link to this one in the description as well if you want to use it. It's a pretty good render actually to use in almost any SIG, I thought. And yeah, I just added that in there. And I'm just going to show you something really quick. It's called rule of third. So if you come down here, it's usually on rectangular tool, and if you right click, go to custom shape, and you go ahead and select the 9 box shape that's in here somewhere, and I can't find it. Yeah, there it is. And what you do is just drag a box from the top of your canvas to the bottom, like so. As you can see, this adds in a box. Now if you read the tutorial, it'll have a little section on it called rule of third, which is, if I can find it really quick, if I can't find it we'll skip, and you can just read through the tutorial yourself, and it is here. And if you read through this part of the tutorial, which is about just above halfway, it'll tell you that basically rule of third, it's always best to have it maybe on one of these boxes in the corner. As you can see, I didn't actually follow rule of third in this signature at all, but you should if you're making one yourself. And as you can see here, I added in a clipping mask, which is just a blurred version of the render itself, and it just makes it look a lot nicer. After that I added in the render again, and I added that a little bit smaller, so as you can see it just goes in, but you don't really notice that later on anyway. Then I went ahead and added in a soft brush, and that just goes over his face just to brighten it up a bit. It helps later on. And then I added in all these adjustment layers. So the first one is a black and white gradient, and that's set to overlay and 15. As you can see, it just adds a little bit of contrast, I suppose, to the text, or sorry, not to the text, sorry, to the render. And then I went ahead and added in the exposure, which is these settings here. Go ahead and copy them down if you're following this kind of tutorial. As you can see, it just kind of dims all the colours in the SIG. And then I added in a gradient map, which is, I don't know whatever colour you deem them to be, but anyway, that's on overlay and on 40% opacity. And as you can see, it just adds in a bit of colour over it where the exposure has taken it out. So basically it's changing the colour of your render, and it just makes it look generally better. And all these adjustment layers and the brighten brush over his face is a clipping mask to my render. So the next one was a photo filter, and it's cooling filter number 82. Density is on 25, and that's set to overlay and 20. As you can see, it just gives it a bit more colour and looks a little bit nicer. And then I went ahead and added in hue and saturation. As you can see, the hue and saturation just adds in, takes out a bit of light and adds in more of a colour. And if you want, you can again go ahead and pause the video and take down these settings here. So after I've done that, I went ahead and added in a star stock, which is this one here. I'll set it to normal really quick. And what I did was use the soft eraser tool, and I erased around my render and just around here in the bottom right corner because it was too dense. And I set this layer to lighten, if you can find it, yeah, lighten and 50% opacity. As you can see, just adds in a nice little kind of starry effect. And then I went ahead and added in a topaz adjustment layer, which is a filter you can get, and I'll just turn on that layer really quick. As you can see, it just flattens it and makes it look generally a lot better. And I believe if I go in here, Topaz Labs, Topaz Adjustment 4, and just let that start up here really quick. I think I added in the mild color pop filter, but I'm not 100% sure. You're gonna have to look through yourself to find it. And then this layer is just the thick border on the outline, and this one I just brightened it up a bit. And that's just a quick rundown of what I did on this signature, guys. If you want, go ahead and leave a request in the comment box if you want to go more in depth into signature making, and maybe even make a full on tutorial on how to make this signature. other than that guys, thanks for watching, and don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe. Cheers guys.